Good afternoon, YouTube. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tim's BMW DIY again. Today we are going to be doing a clock spring. One of the issues I had was when I was doing my turbos, I should have taken some bungee cords and actually secured the steering wheel to keep it from rotating. And when I was hooking my steering wheel back up, I rotated the steering wheel the wrong way, so that there's a notch in the U-joint in which the steering wheel U-joint couples into the rack and pinion, which is splined, but it has a notch in there. And you have to line that notch up in order to get the U-joint onto the rack and pinion. So I screwed that up and I lost all my buttons, everything. And I was really sad because I was like, wow, the job went relatively smooth. I couldn't believe that I wasn't having any problems, and then all of a sudden my paddles don't work. So yeah, so what we want to do first, when you're doing clock springs, you want to go to the negative cable. You want to disconnect it, and you want to get it out of the way and make sure it doesn't touch that terminal, the negative terminal. You don't want any power going through when you're working on airbags. So disconnect it, 10 millimeter there, disconnect the negative cable, let the car sit for an hour. The airbag has to discharge. So get all of that, make sure it's sat for at least an hour. Then you're going to want to put a rag right here into the latch so that this latch doesn't lock. You're also going to want to pull this handle right here for rear access. Fold your seat forward just in case some person randomly pulls the rag and shuts it for you while you're working. The other thing I want to make note of is these are frameless doors. Roll your windows down first, then disconnect your battery, because if the windows are rolled up and you try and open the door, well, you're going to shatter the window. The window has a detent that'll drop down when you grab the handle to allow you to open the door, because it's a frameless door. Look, no frame. So the fact that there's no frame there, it's the glass that's actually holding it in. So if you disconnect your battery and your windows are rolled up, you'll go to open your door and you'll shatter your glass. So don't do that. Try and avoid that one. So now that we've got that out of the way, let's tear into this clock spring. So the car's sat for more than an hour. It's fully discharged. Let's get the lighting set up. Okay, first thing you want to do is, let's reposition this guy. Sorry about this setup I got here. So first thing you want to do is you need to release the airbag, and there's a couple soft touch slits right here on both sides of the steering wheel. I'll grab this other leg. The other one is going to be right there. They're little slits. You got to stick a screwdriver in there and push the retaining spring. So it has a retaining spring. So let's grab a screwdriver. Okay, so what I found worked really well is this Allen. So you stick the Allen in here, and you can feel the spring, and then this guy pops up. So here's your spring, your retaining spring. You got to push it all the way in order for it to release. And the problem I was, as a screwdriver, I could only get it to like there and wasn't letting go. But once I got this Allen works great. So it's like a 7 or 8 millimeter Allen. Now that we got the airbag out of the way, let's disconnect it from the clips here. Let's get some light. All right. A little push pin here. Okay. First things first, let's get this airbag out of the way. So with the airbag, you want to be very careful, but you need to pry up on the edges over here. There we go. There's one. Here's the other one. Now you can remove the airbag. Put him out of the way. Now you got your switches. Okay, that's your steering control, that's your clock spring connection right there. Now, let's get this bolt off. And I want to say it's a, looks like a 15 or 16. It is a 16. Let's get our handy impact out. I need an extension. Look at that. All right. Okay, big thing before you take this thing apart, get your steering wheel straight and lined up. Make sure everything is straight up and down. Try and line your M logo up with your gauge cluster. And then what I like to do is, even though it's marked, even though there's a mark, I can find it. What I like to do is definitely put a mark right here and mark that clear as day. No way you can screw that up now. You got a defining line. You just look at that and make sure it's lined up properly. Now we can pull the whole steering wheel out. Once you have the steering wheel out, now we have some plastic pieces to trim out. So this top piece, you're going to want to pop this guy up. Like that. This bottom piece, I'm going to pull this down and get that out of the way. Your tilt's going to be in the way. And then there is a plastic trim piece right here that has to go over and down. So see if we can pry this guy over and then pull him down at the same time. Just like that. Can tilt the wheel and then lock it in. Then you have room. Now you've got 4 T20 Torx. Let's see if I can find this. Before we do that, we've got these clips on the side for the harness. 2 wire clips right here, wire limbs. So I'm gonna have to get all acrobatic and That one is just a push pin. This one has a lever. There you go. So there's a push pin right here. It's designed so you can get a screwdriver in there, and then you got to push, and then this guy, you got to push down on that and then pull this little lever back. Okay, so those are your wires. Now we have some T20 torques to do. And the clock spring should come straight out. Once you get all those bolts off, you should be able to pull this whole unit out like that. I don't see what the issue with mine was. Feels good. Normally you can feel the ribbon all bound up in there. Okay, well, I will tear this apart one day and actually see if I can resolder the ribbon on the inside, and then potentially resell this and get my money back, because this thing was just mint. No scratches, nothing. I mean, it was perfect. I was really proud. I couldn't believe the levers on it. Everything was in really good shape. So there is the used old clock spring that failed. Now, time for the new one. New old. So the one that I got, or the one that I purchased, shall I say, I got it at an auto dismantler's down south, and it was really affordable. It was, I believe, $140. And so we're gonna see. We're gonna see if this used one that had 80,000 miles, and it also is perfect. The switches, levers, everything on it. It's my greasy handprints, but yeah, it's in just as good a shape. This car had 80,000 miles that this came out of. So now let's get him lined up. Get all the screws started first. Do I dare? Just trying to get good lighting for you guys. I'll give them all a turn. These weren't in that tight, so a little one check. Yeah, they don't need to be extremely tight. Now, reverse order here. Let's get everything hooked up on our wires. Okay. Okay. That looks good there. Minus one little tab. Decided to not want to cooperate, but that's okay. Little persuasion there. Everything looks good to go. Now, let's grab the steering wheel. Line your marks up right there. Looks really good. The M is in line with the vertical part of the gauge. You want to line it up. It's actually keyed. The steering wheel has a groove in it, and so the steering wheel can literally only go on one way. It's kind of stupid proof, but let's get you hooked up. Get you hooked up. Now I need to tighten this guy. Tighten up the locking bolt, the lock steering wheel bolt. All right, he's buzzed on there, pretty good. Just to make sure. Okay, I can't turn it at all with a lot of force. Now we are down to an airbag. So let's get this airbag reinstalled. You want to orientate it, make sure it's orientated in the right position. Plug your little plugs in. I believe they can only go in one way. Let's see. There's little push clips, you push them down. Now we can orientate the airbag and should be able to just push it on. Just like that. Okay, next thing we have to do is plug the battery terminal back on, put the battery terminal back on the negative side, tighten it up, and then see if any of my buttons work. That'll be the real test. And hopefully the airbag doesn't blow up when I... Please. Okay. Let's see, what did I do with the 10 millimeter? $10mm wrench. Okay, GoPro battery died again. I will get a good camera one of these days, but for now it's GoPro and it's all good. I'm down to hooking up the negative cable back up and seeing if the switches and all the steering wheel functions work and my paddles. Get everything out of your way. Okay. Just gotta tighten it down. And the big thing is, when you're doing work with batteries, try not to ground out anything. Try not to touch your wrench to the positive or anything like that. Disaster. I can tell a story when I had my shop. Had a BMW come in. He was having all kinds of error messages. We couldn't figure it out. It was, I believe, a 740 or 745. But we're having some charging issues, and my partner grabbed a battery charger and went to the battery back here. He hooked the negative cable up to the negative side. He found the positive terminal on this side, and when he hooked up the charger and put it on just a 10 amp, the airbags deployed. It busted the front window, side curtain airbags went off. What had happened is BMWs, you don't charge them from the battery ever. You never hook up a battery charger to the battery back here at all. This goes to your ECUs and your modules. The way the power distribution is this end of it, of the battery that's connected, powers up the computer and all the other residual modules connected to it. The way to actually hook up a battery charger to a BMW is actually in the engine compartment. And if you want to charge your battery, that's the only way you can do it. If you come back here and hook a power and ground and then turn your battery charger on to high, well, you risk burning out every module, you risk blowing up every airbag. It's really stupid. It's kind of, I never heard or seen a thing until it actually happened, and I watched my partner and discuss, because he had to get a hold of the owner and let him know that his car is now totaled because the airbags all deployed, plus the windshield busted out of it, and it was a big insurance claim, and so it ended up costing a deductible on our insurance, and had them have basically total the car and write the guy a check for his car. So Whenever you're messing with BMW batteries, don't stick your charger up to the battery side. Go into the engine compartment. You'll see a little red post for the power, and there's a little ground post right by the hinge. So don't ever make that mistake. You'll regret it. Or having your car totaled because the airbag's deployed is stupid. There we go. Okay. Now that we had that fun little talk, let's see now if our clock spring works. I can actually shut that. That'll hurt sitting on that guy. Shut him. I don't need him anymore. Okay. Yes, my buttons. Hooray! Look. Down volume. Up volume, horn. I think the key's got to be in for the horn to work. But I can scroll up and down. Sweet. Bluetooth. Alright. Alright. So, let me turn this down. I do that nowadays, it's so silly. But every button is working. Which is really nice. Let's see here. Got the new clock spring in. Let's see if it actually even works. When I was doing my turbos, I kind of made a mistake. I forgot to strap my steering wheel down so it wouldn't over rotate, and I pulled the ribbons out of my clock spring. So let's see if it works. I just replaced the clock springs, so let's check it out. Turn the radio on, see if we can get some volume out of it. Alright. Let's see if it'll change stations now. So it appears to be working. Volume up, volume down, change the stations. All right. Let's see if the paddles will work. That was the biggest thing, is I lost my paddles. So when you tear the ribbon in the clock spring, all of a sudden you have no steering wheel controls, which includes your paddles. Alrighty. I gotta do an oil change as well today, so sport mode. Now let's see, here's the test. Will it go to manual? Alright. Paddles are up and working. Well, that's a success, folks. I'm pretty stoked about this. Got my paddles back. Alright. Gonna conclude this video here. It's basically clock spring DIY. Hope that helps you guys out. The company's called German Auto Parts Saver. Man, it was $42. Take care, everybody. This is Tim's BMW DIY. So long. Well, when I was doing my turbos, I was really silly and didn't take the precautions to protect my clock spring, so I had to order another one. This is the clock spring I got was for $43. It's from German's Parts Saver out of Phoenix, Arizona. And this is the old one. I've already installed the new one, but this is how it came. Really nice packaging. This guy is over here like this in shipping. When you install the new one, you end up breaking that guy off. But yeah, $43, got my paddles and everything back working. So if you guys damage your clock spring, you can always use this DIY and replace and get your paddles and all your buttons on your steering wheel working. So good luck, everybody. Hope this works out for you. It did for me. So you just saw the drive. But yeah, pretty inexpensive to get your buttons on your steering wheel and everything back working. All right, everybody. Take care.